What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're doing well today. Got an interesting, extremely affordable budget model in today to take a look at. Let's jump into it. All right, guys, this one is the Berrysail folding camp knife. I know what you're thinking right out the gate, but let's jump into it and take a look at this one. So you have D2 steel liners with standoffs. You have contoured G10 with micro milling. You do have a deep carry pocket clip, though it is on the wrong side of the knife. And you do have a liner lock, and this one is riding on bearings. So kind of familiar. A lot of the stuff that you might see here at this price point, immediately what comes to mind is Kaiser's budget line, Simcut, Miguron's budget line come to mind when I think about these. But what really impressed about this one is you can get this right now. I'm looking at it, and let me share my screen. On Amazon, regularly $29.99, which I would say is a little overpriced, but right now you're getting it for $15.99. That is definitely very intriguing at that price point. All right, so I took it downstairs to do a little bit of cutting with it, and it had a little bit of a toothier edge, which, if I'm honest, I do really prefer on my D2 steel. I like a little bit of a toothier edge. It'll get slick over time as you continue to cut with it, so I do like it to start out a little bit more toothy. Nice edge geometry. It did move through the cardboard just fine. It had a nice acute tip when I went to do the pinch grips. I was able to get into a position where I was able to do that easily. Pinch grip was actually comfortable. I was a little worried about that with the tip down carry pocket clip. Not my favorite. But when I was choked up cutting with it, I did feel that a little bit poking into the hand. So it was hitting on the meat here, and I was feeling the edges of the pocket clip here. I think if they're open to the feedback, if they could just shorten the clip and then reverse it and have it on this side. You don't even have to change the way that you've styled this clip if you want to. They've kind of done what Spyderco does and made it so that it can go around the pivot. But what I would recommend is more of an inline pocket clip over here that's fold over, and you don't even necessarily need to nest it. You can just make the holes on both sides to make this reversible. Being that it is a liner lock, it would definitely be a little bit better received for righties and lefties. You only have the flipper tab for deployment, no jimping, but it is such a tall flipper tab, it is very easy to use. When I got mine, it was a little loose in the pivot. I tightened it up to the point where it almost couldn't be swung closed, and then I backed it out a little bit and got it here to where it's a shaker, and it's worked a lot better. When I first got this out of the package, it was very gritty to disengage. That's gone away a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to, at the end of this video, we're going to disassemble it really quick and take a look at the internals, see what type of bearings are in here. Are they ceramic? Are they steel? And then we will wrap it all up. So let's go ahead and do some size comparisons for this one. So I wanted to bring some very affordable budget knives out here to take a look at and compare to, and you can see that the Berrysail is definitely more full-sized. The CJRB Pyrite Light I picked up for $29.99, so double the price, but RPM 9, very well constructed, came really well done out of the box. It has the reversible pocket clip. This is what I would recommend to Berrysail to do, is a fold over steel clip opposite side of the pivot. I think that would be much better received for this particular pocket knife. And then I have the Kaiser Nice Guy down here on the bottom. You can get this with Nitro V and G10 starting at around 40 bucks. So not exactly the same price point, especially considering this one right now is $16 on Amazon, which again, I can't emphasize, for the money is actually pretty good value. Let's do a couple more size comparisons. All right, I wanted to bring out a couple more of affordable yet more beefy knives. So I grabbed the Kubi Supercell, which is full-sized hand filling, and I grabbed the QSP Vault, again hand filling, even though more medium-sized bug out size. And you can see that the Berrysail is very comparable to the Supercell. Let's grab the scale and check the weight. That is something I'm curious about with those full steel liners. All right, we got the scale out here, guys. Let's cut her on and let's see. I'm thinking this is 4 ounces. coming in around 4.3 just in. So I'm not too surprised. Steel liners, a full-size knife, which means you have a big blade on it, steel standoffs with steel hardware, and a pretty big steel fold-over pocket clip, although I will say they did make that pretty thin. Now, talking about the pocket clip specifically, it is really good in and out of the pocket, good retention. I think they did a good job folding that pocket clip down. So that's not really where I'm feeling the pocket clip. Where I'm feeling it is because it is on the closer side of the pivot. Just flip that. I think that's a big change. Let me move this out of the way. We'll go ahead and disassemble the knife really quick to take a look at it, and then we'll wrap up with final thoughts and impressions. All right, guys, I have my mat out here. I will link this down in the bio if it's available. If not, I have the tools that you would need to disassemble a knife. If you're just getting into the hobby, it's always good to be able to take your folders apart to be able to clean and maintenance those knives. I do recommend Hops Gun Oil. I do really like it. It stays in place without flinging all over the place like some other oils that I've encountered. Plus, again, if you can trust this on firearms, I absolutely feel like you can trust this on your folding knives. High bits are what I recommend, but just as long as you have a good set of hardened steel bits that are going to stand the test of time to make sure that they don't come apart, you should be good to go. I'm going to attempt to disassemble this from the pocket clip side because I think that's probably going to be the easiest. It does look like these are riding on stamped bearings, so I think that there'll be ceramic balls on the inside, so we'll see. So we do have T6 hardware here on the pocket clip, and very easy to break to take off. That's going to be good, a good sign. I do like this mat because it does have the magnets to help me keep track of my hardware. Let's get this other one broken loose. Yep, broke right loose. No issues whatsoever. It is, I will say, that it is nice that they did recess this pocket clip, but I think without that pocket clip or having it mounted on the side for tip-up carry is going to be a much more attractive aesthetic. It's just a very basic steel pocket clip. They did stonewash it and pretty rigid, even though it is that thin. So I'm going to set this to the side, and it looks like, actually, I will need this for the standoffs. Yep, those are T6. So far, coming apart very easily, guys. Yeah, no issues so far with the disassembly. Looks like we have almost everything that we need to disassemble it, but it does look like the pivot is also holding the G10 scale on, and that is T8. A little bit of a shallow tooling, but not awful. I'm probably going to throw a little thread locker on this since it was backing off. Okay. That's unusual. The whole knife just kind of fell apart right there for me. So I am going to flip this pivot over. I do want to flip that over so that I can have this assembled the way that I prefer to disassemble it. And it does look like they are steel ball bearings. So I do have some ceramic. They look like they're 5mm 1/16. So I'm going to grab some of the steel ceramic bearings that I have sitting around here to get rid of the steel. It does look like the liners are a hardened steel, so that is a very, very good sign. I'm going to go ahead and grab a quick picture, and let's grab some bearings here, guys. All right, so 5mm 1/16. If you've ever, if you're looking for a beater, if you've ever disassembled a knife and saved the stamped ceramic bearings, this is a nice way to easily upgrade your steel ceramic ball bearings. So it does look like whatever they coated with it to blackwash it kind of oversprayed here. It doesn't look like it's corrosion. It just looks like it's a little bit of overspray. So that's a good sign. I don't think it needs to be tuned in any way, shape, or form. We are going to reassemble it this way, guys. So hopefully you're able to see that. I'm going to go ahead, finish cleaning up everything. I am going to leave, I do like the oil on the steel liners just in case it scratches or anything like that. So I am going to leave their oil on that. No issues for me with that. And then I'm going to go ahead and clean up the pivot. Sorry, I'm thinking about my approach here, and you can see it is very dirty. So this should improve how smooth this operates, and it really wasn't that bad. I will say one thing that I did forget to mention while I am here. All right, that feels pretty good. Don't think we're making any contact of any kind. Yep. All right, let me go ahead and clean this up, and we'll wrap up with final thoughts and impressions. All right, guys, final thoughts and impression on the Berrysail folding knife. Not bad. Honestly, quite impressive for something that is coming in under 20 bucks, right? This right now on sale for, what did I say, $15.99. You got a steel liner lock D2 folding knife with contoured G10 scales. Pocket clips facing the wrong direction. You know, that's a minor nitpick. It does slightly impact the ergos, but good cutting geometry. Came with a nice factory edge. Performed well in the cutting test. A little bit of lock stick going on with the liner lock itself. It started to wear away. I flipped the pivot to get the disassembly done from the pocket clip side. I think the reason that they probably did that is they thought it would be easier to take it apart from this side. I do like to control a little bit more of that liner, disassembling it from that side. That's just personal preference, but good action. Very smooth. It did come with steel bearings instead of ceramic bearings, so that is something to take into consideration. That can corrode if you don't coat them with a little bit of oil, or if you don't take the knife apart and dry it if it were to get submerged into some water. Same thing with D2. That's something you want to be aware of, but this is a coated D2 blade, so I think that's something that is pretty impressive. Now, I grade on a scale of 1 to 10. I do this in all of my videos, so you have a point of reference on what I may have scored something else in the budget realm versus what I'm scoring this at. And all of my budget knives, even though I grade from 1 to 10 budget knives, because materials do limit it, I need a little bit of that extra equity up top for premium pocket knives. So 7 is the highest that this can go. The lock stick and the pocket clip being on a side that I don't prefer personally is going to hurt it a little bit. The geometry is done well. The sharpening choil is done well. They did use T6 hardware with a T8 pivot, so that is pretty standard in the industry, so I do like to see that. It's not like a flathead or something weird that's in a different spot on the knife, so you're going to be able to use Torx bits to do your maintenance, which is pretty common with pocket knives in the mainstream in the industry as a whole. Some jimping here, very comfortable outside of that. Again, contour G10, the G10's done well, and they did give you some pattern here to help with the gripping, so I do like that as well. The pocket clip, even though I don't like the position, works very well going in and out of the pocket. At this price point, for $16, even at $20, it is going to be hard to beat. Again, 7 is the highest that I can go with a budget knife. I am actually going to go 5.2 on this. If this was done a little bit better with that pocket clip and no lock stick, I think this would bump up pretty high for the money. It would be pretty impressive. Now, long term, I think this will be perfectly fine, even with the steel bearings, even with that pocket clip, especially if you were to throw this in like a camping bag, or if you were to carry this out into the field and this were to be a work knife. I think you wouldn't have any issues with it. There are other knives that are done a little bit better, but they also are going to cost you a little bit more money. So when you're looking at like the CJ Pyrite Light with the RPM 9, I do think that there is disparity in the build quality that you can kind of feel. Again, lock stick being the thing that I'm referring to, with no lock stick on that Pyrite Light. Neither one of them had blade play. I did tighten the pivot up, but it was a backed out pivot. It wasn't the tolerances. The tolerances on the blade to the pivot are a little bit tighter on something like the CJ Pyrite Light or the QSP Volt with the glide lock, I think they're calling it. So you can tell a little bit of difference here. You get some micarta and aluminum versus G10. This has the plastic, so plastic and G10, they're going to call it FRN, fiberglass reinforced nylon, I think is what that acronym stands for, that you're going to see here. You know, pretty comparable, so keep that in mind. But you're paying $30 here. On sale you're getting $65 for that QSP, so you are paying more for that quality, but I would say that you probably are going to be able to tell a difference pulling it right out of the box. But if you are handy, 15 bucks, take this apart, clean it, lube it, get all the oil off of the lock bar interface to see if that cures the little bit of grip that you're feeling with that lock stick there. I think that's going to be, really, really good for $16. Anyway, let me know what you think about the Berrysail down in the comments below. I think this is going to be a great user work knife, and if you lose it, or if you don't even want to bother with sharpening it and you want to pick up another one for $16, I could completely see where that argument would be valid on this one. All right, that's it. I'm out of here, guys. I hope you have a fantastic week. I'll catch you next time. Peace.